good morning. This is Judy from Artistic Artifacts, and I guess it's Happy New Year. It's 2024. I have no idea time just flies. It just goes so fast, so quickly, and I hope everybody is able to take a breath and slow down and think about themselves, and that's my goal for the new year, is to take a breath. And I'm gonna have to practice that. So anyway, we hope that you made it through the holidays and that you're with us this morning to welcome in the new year. And we have a couple of announcements, of course. What would be Saturday morning without a couple of announcements? And just some changes. So we want to remind you that we are closed for inventory next week. So Monday through Friday, we will not be answering the phones. We will not be shipping orders. The front door will be locked. No machine drop off, no machine pickup for those of you guys who are local. This is really, really needed. We're with our new retail system and new website. We're hoping to kind of draw a line in the sand and get all our ducks in a row. You know, we've had hiccups, to say the least. So, and those of you who have shopped in the store know about the hiccups a little bit more than those who are with us online. So that is hopefully gonna get us a little better organized, and that's what we're looking for. So we apologize for any inconveniences that this might cause for you. We're really sorry. This is, as a business owner, being closed for 5 days kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. But I think that we really need to do it so that we can serve you better. So that's next week. You can order. Please don't stop shopping, but we're not going to pull it until the end of the week. The first possible day that we're going to ship will be Friday. If it's earlier than that, it's a flippin' miracle, but that's going to be the first day we're going to be able to ship to you. But don't stop ordering, please. Give us something to do on Friday. So the other thing is the Creative Summit is up. The teachers are Gwen LaFleur, Libby Williamson, Liz Kettle. Liz and I are team teaching a class. We're doing another dye class. Those classes are up and ready to go. We have some sign-ups for them. We're not sold out of anything at this point, so you still have time. There's a newsletter coming out on Monday that gives you a reminder about the Creative Summit, to list some hotels that are near us, and you know what, hopefully we can help it make it easier for you to travel to us. We're also going to set up a specialized Facebook group with the idea that will give you an opportunity for, if you've registered for the summit, then you'll be added to this Facebook group. If you do Facebook, it'll give you an opportunity. You know, do you want to have dinner with somebody? Do you need to share a room and be closer? Is there some, you know, you want to grab a drink, or I'm bringing this, what about you bringing that? You know, that's going to allow us some communication as the participants, not dictated by us. It is private. You must be registered to get on there. And hopefully it will help maybe coordinate some stuff with some other people. You know, it would be a great opportunity for people to meet from opposite, you know, from the north and the south and from the, you know, west. You come and say, okay, friends, we're all going to meet here and we're going to take these classes together. It's a great opportunity. So the Creative Summit is up. For those of you who participate with us on Comments Sold, I can tell you we're not going to have a comment sold in January. We're hoping to get back up in February. But I just want to let you know. I know it's kind of, had a couple customers come in and say, what happened to your app? There's nothing on it. That was all part of this move from Shopify to Shopify, and we had to kind of start at zero with all these things. So and I think time speeds by, but I can tell you technology and business practices and all this other stuff just speeds. And I'm hanging on to the dragon by the end of the tail, trying to keep up with all these changes and things. And it's not really my genius, is that kind of stuff. So bear with us. And as you always do, I always have said Artistic Artifacts has the best customers in the entire universe. And everybody's patient, contributes, and is totally invested in our business and our success. And I know that we're very grateful for all of that. So, do we have any questions?
Lots of good mornings.
Okay.
From all over the place. A lot from Virginia, from all over the country, actually. Florida. North Carolina, South Carolina.
Okay. Anybody any a little bit west? Anybody out of our time zone? West or east? How about our friend from Ireland? England. Had our visitor from England yesterday. She's on her way home. Susan.
June Chase.
Yes. Oh, June. Hi. All right.
Boston.
Okay. Austin. All right. That's out of our time zone. That's
Boston.
great. Boston. Oh, Boston. I think you're going to get snowed in. Better be prepared. You make sure you have enough craft supplies and sewing supplies.
Yeah, so, speaking of Buffalo, New York.
Oh, yeah. You get snowed in for everything. Montana. Oh, they probably had snow in spring. So.
Wisconsin.
Awesome. Wisconsin. Wow. Gosh. Oh, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Judy, Catherine wants to know more about the winter banner.
The winter banner. Okay. This was given to me by my girlfriend, Libby. And this is cardboard here that was painted white, and then it has some glitter on it. And then behind it, the circle kind of looks like vintagey crepe. And then they did the cutout letters. So I'm thinking these were all done with die cuts and everything. And Libby gave that to me a couple of years ago. And then Sharon found our felt snowflakes. And it's a lot of fun, so we bring that out. I really would love to have snow here. I know I would much rather have snow than rain, so this is the snow dance. Not that we want it today. It can come in a week or so. I'm not sure if we can arrange that, but a week or so would be good. So that's a great banner from Libby. All right. So I'm always thinking, what can I do on Saturday mornings to kind of spark your curiosity? And sometimes I think, oh, they're tired of Judy talking. I don't know. So it's a little bit of a struggle for me. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go back to my roots. So the business started heavy mixed media, vintage, and paints and dyes and paper. So that's how the business started. Sewing machines and fabric soon took over a lot of the space, but we keep carving out our mixed media area. So I really am telling you the truth when I say that I have bins of things. So, let me back up. So I know we had some customers that did the fodder challenge, and I think that was a lot of paper, but we can do fodder with fabric. So that's what we're going to do this month. So this is my bin that I have with fabric paper of some sorts. And I'll tell you what fabric paper means. Just keep that in the back of your head. But these are pieces. So I literally have a drawer that's stamped pieces. This is my fabric paper. I have a drawer of silk paper. I tried different, you can see this is a little different. Oh look, see, I could do my own winter banner. And I've had this for years, and this one is a little different than what I'm going to do today. This is shears. You know those polyester shears? You know, I always thought it was safe to get rid of those. No, not so much. There's some really cool things you can do with those. And these are some shears. This one I like. That's a scarf. So this has, there's stitching on it here. So this is kind of my whole drawer. I don't make this knowing what I'm going to do with it. I just make it for the pure joy of creating something. And sometimes it excites me. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it needs more. You know, Seth always says one step away from brilliance. Or if he doesn't say that, he should say that. So there's that kind of thing. But I do have drawers of those different things. So this is fodder fabric January. I guess I should have done this in February. Fodder fabric February. Okay, so fodder fabric January. I'm learning, Sharon. I'm learning. And then, so I have that. And then I also, again, it's really tricky to be limiting. But I have tissue paper. So I use tissue paper in this. I have this really old dictionary that my cousin brought me from Boston, and it's very, very thin paper, so I have some of that. I have some paper towels that have been dyed. Definitely tissue paper. Anytime I go into a store, you know, everybody thinks I'm heading to the gift drop area because I'm like gonna wrap presents, but no, they come in paper bags. I use the tissue paper for this kind of stuff. So, does that explain a lot, Kyle?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I kind of have these zipper things with this stuff here. All right. So fabric paper, as you saw in the stamps. Let's see. I'm going to save this for later. I'm going to show you what I did with it. I'm going to show you how I did it now. It's pretty much taking a piece of muslin, a scrap piece of muslin. You're going to put matte medium that's been watered down just a little bit on this. So you're gluing paper to fabric, okay? We'll just cut it to the chase there. And then we can do different things. So let's see. So I told you about my tissue paper fetish. Okay, I also have a napkin fetish. So I have some really nice friends who are very classy, and they put paper napkins in their bathrooms, you know, so you don't mess their linens up. Well, needless to say, I mess the linens up and I take the paper napkin home. So they all laugh at me. So anyway, so I do have some really cool napkins here that I use also. So we have muslin, napkins, matte medium, chip brush, which is here, these kind of brushes here. Sometimes I've given up some of good paint brushes. Well, I don't know if this is good anymore, but this goes a little bit harder, so I can get the matte medium in there. This is a little bit painterly. All right, so is everybody with me so far? Muslin, matte medium, napkins, tissue paper. You with me? All right. So when you are using napkins, let's see if I can do this. I'm on camera. You will see that they have multiple layers. Well, we don't want all those layers. We just want the top printed layer. So then we save that. And I have mixed some matte medium. Let's just turn this over. I have plastic underneath here, so that will work because you're going to get this pretty sopping wet. So first, what you have to do, you can see this is pretty thin, is we have to get the fabric wet. And to be successful in this, you have to make sure your fabric and your paper are thoroughly wet so that it adheres to the muslin. And again, I don't ever put a whole piece down. I'm going to do some collaging here, here, and then I'm going to come back to my matte medium, and I'm going to make sure that I have both sides sucked in there. All right, so and we're just gonna, again, this is bits and bobs, bits and fodder, and you're gonna just put it down. So here's some stamped tissue paper from some woodblock stamping. Here's some here, some here, here, and it's just a willy-nilly thing. But you just want to make sure it's soaked. And you're going to get some folds in your paper. That's all okay. It's, you can see this needs to be down here. You have to make sure you got both sides. And you just keep going. Now I will tell you a secret that when you dry this, you want to dry it flat, because when you dry it outside on a line on your sidewalk, the matte medium will leave gluey substances on your sidewalk, and I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody else but me. So you're going to dry it flat or have a drip cloth underneath it. Trust me on that. And so we just keep going. You're just layering. I did mix my matte medium with a little bit of water, so when I'm done with doing this, I'm going to mark my jar watered down. Okay, so the other thing that's kind of cool, again, if it's not soaked, it's going to come up. So you can't really be stingy with the matte medium. Any questions so far? This is pretty easy. It's kind of, you can see how it goes through. You can see layers. Just rip. Just make sure you're ripping and using small pieces. So this is your collage.
What kind of matte medium are we using again?
I'm using matte medium. Golden is usually my product of choice, but any matte medium is okay. Originally, I've tried to do the textile medium, but that's not as good. A textile medium is a little bit thinner. So you could, this is kind of an all-purpose matte medium. It is thin, but you can, but I would water it down a little bit. So.
How long on average would it take to dry?
A long time.
Could you repeat that for the camera?
Okay, how long on an average does it take to dry? It does, it's one of those things you have to leave overnight. It's not going to be quick because I'm really gooping it up.
And is there any guidance on overlap for these pieces that are putting down? Or?
No, really. The only thing you have to remember is you've got to see. I can't even get this napkin. Ah, there it goes. Sometimes you have to rip the napkin to get it to separate. You just want to make sure, the biggest deal, as I said, is if you have whatever you're laying down has to be wet. Okay, so say this is dried a little bit, so I need to goop it. You want to, the biggest deal is making sure that you're wet on the top and the bottom. And this is really the case when anytime you're working with matte medium and laying paper down on things. You want to make sure if your paper goes down dry and you do, okay, so this is a little corner and it's dry. And I'm going to put this here and I'm going to put matte medium over it. It's not going to stay. So you need to, the biggest deal is making sure that you have glue on the top and the bottom. That's more important than trying to figure out your overlap. That's not a big deal. Let's see. I can pull it right up if I did not put goop down. That's a technical term. And one of the problems that I always had, which is to advantage now, is when I've been working in my journals and I use matte medium to adhere papers, it's going to fold and wrap the papers. In this technique, it's okay. When I'm working in my journal, I don't like that, so I tend to use a little bit thicker. I use soft gel, because then I don't get as much ripping. All right, so this is wet all the way through. Here, here. All right. Am I done yet? No, I'm not done yet. So one of the things that I really love black and white tissue paper because it allows me to go back in and put my own colors in it. So I use all kinds of paint, and as you can see, we have our Artistic Artifacts fluid paint, we have our 2-ounce, we have our Fresco Flakes, I have a little bit of miscellaneous golden. I don't use that with paper. Well, I use it with paper, I don't necessarily use it with fabric. And let's see, what is this one? Okay, good, this is gold. So I didn't put some of this in, but the biggest crime is it doesn't take a lot of paper. And I don't know about you, but I have a lot of paper.
Do you use the like the other part of the napkin for anything? Like the, I guess like the white sides or whatever that other layer is?
No, it goes into the kitchen. Not really. Unless somebody else comes up with some other ideas. I'm all about the pattern. All right, so now I can go in and I'm using just a gold fluid. I have it here and I'm using my finger. If you don't want to use your finger, you can use a small paintbrush, but I just generally like my finger. And I can go in and add some color to it that I want. Again, a little goes a long way. And I have some, and I mix, if it's an acrylic, so if you have Artistic Artifacts fluid acrylics and you have some Fresco, you can just put it all in there together. And the thing that's really cool is I'm doing it while it's wet because the matte medium helps me smooth it out or thin it out. That's the word I wanted. Okay.
Now we have a few more questions.
Yep, okay.
Have you, since you're doing this on fabric essentially, have you ever tried quilting these together or stitching these?
Yes,
all?
Yes, I will show you that. Yes, that's how I do it. Yes, So, okay, I'll show you that in a minute. Sorry, I need more coffee. All right, so the other thing that we have, and I have not tried these before. I've had them for a long time. You know, some of us, we buy things and we haven't used them. And this is a watercolor powder. And it comes in a 3-pack. Let's see what color I want to use. Orange, spice. Let's go with spice. I cannot believe the intensity of this. Again, I use my fingers for everything. So it's in here. I'm a little nervous because when I tested it, it was like really came out. All right, there's a lot on there. This stuff is amazing. See, look at that. So if you want like a sepia tone type thing, or you want it to look a little vintagey, this is another alternative to, and it's gonna dry, again, it's in matte medium, so it's gonna dry and stay on there. So that's pretty cool. So I plan on using that a little bit more going forward. And then if I want, you know, some, yeah, gold always looks good in everything. You can put some gold in here. But if you look at just this little area, doesn't it look really vintagey? So all right. So, and I keep them kind of small. If I'm doing something specific, maybe I make it a fat quarter-ish size, but these are really just bits. So we're gonna work kind of small. So the other thing that you can do, where's my sponge, is we can start it the other way. I would let this dry before I go on to the next part, which is inking and stamping. Okay, so let me pull a piece out of here. Of course, I brought my whole thing. All right, so this piece was kind of yucky, but I went through and I put a woodblock print on it, and then I used these to make my hanging birds so that birds can hang in the window, and I like that. So I had kind of a purpose for those. Ooh, yeah, that's bad. Let's see, I need, yeah. So even with a rubber stamp, and this is one of Seth's stamps, it works a little better with a stamp pad, but it's okay, this will work. I left my stamp pads at home.
Now the gel medium doesn't warp anything, does it?
Warp, no, not, well, you can see that there's texture on these pages, but when you sew them down or fuse them down, which is what I do most of the time, it'll handle that. So you can see I can use a wood block, but I can also use a stamp, and if you can't find your stamp pads, you can use ink. So this is all done after it's dried. So you can keep putting layers on these things. So, and that just, you know, the more layers, the more interesting it becomes, in my opinion. And so if I pull something else out of here and I go, well, okay, it's not enough, I need something else, then I can stamp it with wood blocks, or I can stamp it with stamps. So this piece that I just did today is not done, but I will let it dry before I go to the next step. I mean, I could stamp it now, but I think it would be a little mushy. Let's try it. Yeah. I don't know that I would wait until it dries.
So it brings the paper with it.
Yeah. And that's the thing I don't like about matte medium, is whenever I'm using it, it tends to bring my paper with it. In this technique, it's okay, but again, in my journal, I'm not really crazy. And now I put glue on my rubber stamp, so all of you stamp people are probably freaking out. I'll wash it in a minute so that it doesn't dry. So that's it. That's it. And you can, you can spend an hour, you can spend a couple hours, and you can make a bunch of pieces and have them, they'll run through a Cricut. They'll run through, you can cut pieces out. I tend to do them by hand. Cut birds, cut hearts, cut strips. It's all becomes fodder for other things. So the goal is to make our fodder this month, and then next month I'm going to give you some ideas on how to use it. But I won't make you wait till next month to show you how I've used this. Let me just make some space here.
2 quick questions.
Yep.
Can you use this with thicker paper, like magazine paper, coloring books?
I think that's a little bit harder to glue down. If I was to collage with magazines, I don't know, and even our Indian paper, I don't know that I would worry about putting that on fabric. I think I would just sew with it, and I would use soft gel as an adhesion rather than a matte medium. Sharon, do you have any thoughts on that? I think that paper's too thick for what this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's a collage thing.
Yeah.
People are asking about the softness and the flexibility. And
Okay.
Can you show that? And then they'll understand where the thickness is coming from.
Okay.
And people asking about stitching fluid.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a piece that's dried. So here's my muslin that's on the back here. And here is my piece that I've collaged. All right. And I can sew right through this. All right. So here's how I've used it. This is one of my pieces. I'm trying to not get glue on me. This was one of my first pieces that I made, trying to figure out how to use this stuff. All right, so this is fabric paper, and I wanted to hand stitch it, so I put some felt behind it. Obviously, it didn't really do a good job of finishing it. This is another layer of paper that's on here. So you can see these hand stitch marks went through 2. So 1, 2, and there it is on the back. So that works really well, and it didn't tear, it didn't rip. Okay. This one has got a lot in it, and I really, this is one of my favorite ones. I taught this class in Colorado several years ago. This is fabric paper, and I sewed it traditionally like a quilt. Here, you can show the stitching here, Kyle. I did not fold over. I did not stitch and fold. I laid it down and top stitched. But as you can see, you can't tell where the stitches are. I will tell you, this has been handled a whole lot. I take it to a lot of lectures. So it is somewhat fragile. You can see some of this coming up. But this whole section is fabric paper that was sewn on a sewing machine. I would not use a 90 size needle. I would probably use an 80 size needle. And I would stretch my stitch a little bit longer, because if you do your stitch too close together, then you get perforations. So this piece in itself, this is a rusted piece. This is transfer artist paper. This is painted vintage fabric, vintage, 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 vintage. So this is all dyed stuff. All right, so that's one of the first pieces I did. Now, This piece is in Leslie Riley's book about memories, and you can see I'm doing things, I did it a little bit differently. So I left it as a layer on a quilted quilt. So, and you can fuse this, sew this. I could have very easily stitched it this way, but I wanted it to come away from the base. And this is a transfer artist paper, birds, vintage buttons, just pieces. I didn't really like the color, so you can tell I went in and did a little bit of a burnishing of color there. And I hand stitched. This is all hand stitched. I set there, there. So yes, you can use it.
Can you do a transfer when it dries?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. Can I do a transfer when it dries? So does that mean
the specific wording is, can I add a transfer when it's dry?
Okay, yes, you can. Yes, I would wait until you're dry. You can do transfer artist paper. I would do that one. That has to do with ironing. Many times, again, photos are bits and pieces also, and that's one of the last ones that we're going to do. So you'll see, if you look at how I did this bird and I did the face, you will see that I put them on something else and applied them to the fabric paper. So try it. It would be interesting to see what happens doing the transfer directly on here. I would love to see that. We could post it in Creative Minds, and we'd love to hear what that is and how that worked for you. So please try it and let us know.
And then one last question. Could you put it through an AccuQuilt machine?
I think so. I haven't tried it yet, but I will. And yes, I am going to. I think you can put it through any of these cutters. This one, because you know it's kind of free form type of stuff, I don't know. I would think it would cut through the die no problem, because you put something on top of it. I have gotten desperate and ironed it, and I've ironed it from the back because that's the fabric side, and of course you want to make sure you have parchment paper or Teflon sheets. So that's it. Any other questions?
So for those coming late who will have to start from the beginning, this is the ending explanation of how to make fabric paper.
Yes. All right, so your challenge, if you so accept it, is to make some fabric paper so that you're ready to go with a project in January. No, I'm in January. February. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, January's fodder. February we're going to make some projects, some cards, flying birds, and some things I haven't even thought of yet. So we'll that's what we're going to do. So have some fun, make it with what you have. It's really going to change how you go through the gift sections of stores. Look for great, really cool tissue paper, and we'll see what comes up. So a couple of the other ones we have, we're going to make silk paper. We're going to make some thread mush. I know there's a better name. Sharon will come up with a better name than thread mush. And then we're going to work with pictures. So we have the next 4 weeks planned out. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate you as a customer and part of our community very, very much. And we look forward to seeing you in the future, if not next Saturday. So thank you. This is Judy. Happy New Year.